Welcome to the 22nd Annual Poetry Live. So many of you we're welcoming back again. It's so good to see you. And I know a lot of you have had a busy week with testing that's going on and your regular school week anyway, so I hope that you are here to relax and take this for the wonderful event that it is and listen to each other's work. So a real hearty welcome from the Village of Mamaroneck and the Village of Mamaroneck's Arts Council. I want to also welcome you on behalf of Mary Louise Cox's family. They're usually here, or in previous years Mary Louise was here, but we lost her 2 years ago. And she was the founder of this event 22 years ago. It's grown, and I know she would be so happy to see all of you participating and to hear the poetry that we're going to be treated to today. There is a garden across the street. I don't know if you saw it, but the Cox family, along with the village and the Arts Council, dedicated the garden across the street as a poetry garden. It's the Mary Louise Cox Memorial Poetry Garden. There are some beautiful sculptures in there. There's a bench, there's a plaque. And the fact that this village thinks enough of poetry to have an installation of a poetry garden here touches me, and I know touches so many people. We value art in Mamaroneck, and today is testament to that as well. So please go over there and stop by. You'll see a wonderful 4.5-foot rabbit and a turtle and the words poetry that kind of tuck into the garden. So you'll enjoy that. Just a couple of quick things. I want to say that, of course, it takes so many people to make this event possible. I should also introduce myself. My name is Marina Kyriakou, and I'm chair of the Village of Mamaroneck Arts Council. We have 15 warrior volunteers that work alongside each other to put on events like this, and we have the full support of the village. So that's me. I'm Marina. I want to thank our mayor, Tom Murphy. You'll hear a couple of words from him in a moment, for supporting us. Also, Nora Lucas. The Board of Trustees gives us a liaison from the village that we work with, and Nora is our liaison to all things village, and she's so helpful to us. So thank you, Nora. From the Arts Council, we have, as I said, 15 wonderful volunteers. Some of them are specifically here today to help us, and I want to call you out. Jane, who you may know from previous years, has always headed up Poetry Live. I get to do that with her, so you'll be hearing from her in a minute. Solange, I don't know where you are, but oh, hi, Solange. She's always very helpful over the years and supplied us with some music and support out front. Astrid, I know all of you are out there because I've seen you. Astrid, Joyce Marie, thank you so much. Piper's here. She's going to be taking some pictures for us. And Liz O'Rourke. Liz is our kind of resident poet on the Arts Council, and she is our liaison with our poet laureate from the village and the town, Michael Collins, and you'll be seeing him in a few minutes. So thank you, Liz, for also working with our special guest today, and I won't say any more about that, somebody else will. But thanks, Liz, for all that you do for poetry. Let's see, I want to thank LMC Media, the Emelin Theater. These two groups pulled this together seamlessly because there was another group that ended their production 45 minutes ago. So thank you to both of you. Let's see, next. And finally, we would like to thank the teachers that work so hard. We have so much respect and gratitude towards all of you for organizing the kids, for teaching them, for inspiring them in poetry, and for enabling us to invite you to bring their voices forward. So no small thing. Thank you so much. Thank you for making all our deadlines and being so careful. Thanks a lot. And the parents supporting your kids. We hope that you get to sit back and relax and be awed by your own children as well as all the others here today. And last and absolutely not least are the students. Thank you so much for your voices. I know I've had kids your ages, and it's no small thing to create and then to decide to bring your work forward. So much respect to you. Thanks for showing us a little slice of what it looks like to live in the world today from your point of view. So thank you for that. Today's program, it's all about the kids. We're going to hear from 40 students. And first we'll start with our mayor. Then we're going to go to Michael Collins, our poet laureate. We have a very special guest, national student poet, which we're so grateful, Vidhatri Keitha, to have you here. And the only other thing I'll say is that all of you are getting a copy of the anthology, which you do every year. This anthology celebrates the poetry garden that I was talking about. This photograph here is from across the street. There are poetry pebbles down here, which are also across the street if you want to go make poetry. And then in the back of the book, there are some photographs of the Mary Louise Cox Memorial Poetry Garden. So please take a look at that, enjoy it, and know that poetry is celebrated in this community. I'd like to introduce Tom Murphy. Tom, thank you so much for always supporting the work of the Arts Council. Tom's going to say a few words right now.
I've never been played on by music before, but I like it. Thank you all for coming here. Welcome. I want to especially thank the Emelin for providing us this venue and for always being a good citizen of this community and supporting the arts in this community and helping the Arts Council out on their mission to enrich the lives of our residents. Good writing, can explain. Good writing can persuade, and good writing can inspire. But poetry, for me, and I've been able to do the other kinds of writing, but I've never been able to do poetry because I'm not as honest and as open as you kids are. Because that to me, because while I admire it, it's really opening up your soul and allowing people to look into your soul and hoping that your soul makes a connection with other people's souls. And that is a degree of honesty and truth that a lot of elected officials, including myself, don't have. but it's so essential. I grew up on the west side of Manhattan in a lower middle class area, and I went to a really good high school. I was really lucky to get into a really good high school. And I had teachers that exposed me to poetry. And when I saw the syllabus at the beginning of the year that we were going to do poetry and we were going to do Shakespeare, I really wish I didn't get into that high school. But you know what? It had a transformative effect on how I view the world and how I view my place in the world. And it inspired me, and it gave me hope, and a lot of it spoke to what I was going through as a young teenager, and it helped me through it. And I have a cousin, his name is Peter Murphy. You can look him up. He's an award-winning poet. And he's done a lot of poetry that had to do with our family, and now he's writing a memoir about our family. And there's mixed feelings about that in the family. But my view is, when I read it, I said, this is Peter's truth. I know Peter, and this is what Peter, this is his experience. And, the truth shall set you free. And I just want to thank you all for having the guts to speak your truth, and for the teachers who inspired you and your parents who supported you. Thank you very much, and for those of you who are not from the Village of Mamaroneck, welcome to the Village of Mamaroneck, and please, when you leave, take good feelings with you and visit our downtown and our shops and support the people that help support this. And thank you all for coming here tonight.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Jane Dorian, and I'm co-chair of this event. So I have the pleasure of working with Marina and the rest of the Arts Council to plan and execute what's happening today. So, first off, I'm going to put my glasses on, and I am going to have the pleasure of introducing someone to you, and his name is Michael Collins. Now, Michael Collins was named Poet Laureate of the town and the village of Mamaroneck in 2022. He succeeds Mary Louise Cox, as Marina has told you, a beloved and longtime leader who founded Poetry Live. Michael has lived in Mamaroneck for 12 years with his wife and 2 young children. He holds a BA, an MFA in creative writing, and an MA in literature. He is the author of several chapbooks and collections of poetry. His poetry has appeared in more than 70 journals and magazines. He's also an adjunct assistant professor teaching writing at New York University, NYU, and he has years of experience running and participating in poetry readings. He spoke, actually, at the Mamaroneck tree planting ceremony at Harbor Island on this past Earth Day, and he is offering a series of laureate lectures at the Mamaroneck Public Library. The first one is starting in May, called and is titled Reading, Writing, and Dream Work. I'm just going to show you how inventive, I don't know if you can see it, but it's quite inventive photo of the, for the workshop, the flyer for the workshop. So, I would like to welcome Michael to the stage, our Poet Laureate, and let's give him a big welcome. Thank you, Michael. And by the way, I am leaving this on the, right here, we have 2 of them, so that whoever needs to look at this will be able to. Okay, Michael.
I was hoping I was going to get music. I still have a little bit of a headache from when they turned my head into a cloud, but I'll do my best. This is my 2nd year speaking at this event as well, and last year I hadn't yet heard the work, so I missed the opportunity to praise the quality of the poetry you're going to hear tonight. I'm cheating this year because I've yet to resolve this problem with linear time. And as intelligent and creative as one may be, good poetry is also cultivated with teaching, so I really want to compliment the teachers who are here, no, do that, yeah. After 20 years of teaching myself, I can tell you it's okay if you get 2 rounds of applause in one day. Okay, so lastly, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Vidhatri Keitha, who is currently serving as the National Youth Poet for the Northeast and is a senior at Horace Mann School. She and 4 fellow poets were chosen from a group of over 22,000 applicants and will serve as ambassadors of poetry in their local communities, engaging with libraries, schools, and community centers with programming for both youth and adults. Vidhatri finds inspiration through mythology and folklore and believes poetry is a medium that can reach across cultural and geographical divides. One way these poems achieve these goals is in their entry into a mythic time. I mention this because your best strategy to be enriched by them is to release yourself briefly to their realities rather than trying to interpret them as if they were aspects of the practical reality we walk through every day. One useful way to understand mythic time is outside time. So, as I explain further over the next 2 hours, remember that it was not even a nanosecond to the gods. That's a joke. I'm not going to talk for 2 hours. But perhaps I can be indulged in one quick familiar example. We all know Prometheus, right? The Titan who stole fire from the gods. Zeus chains him to a mountain, sends an eagle to eat his liver, which of course grows back every day, so the whole process repeats, and probably didn't feel this quick to him. From a literal perspective, we're not only appalled by this brief window into the sociopathic torture of the gods, but left with impossible questions like who could ever reverence these gods? And for that matter, who cares if he takes fire? It's easy to share. One guide, Heraclitus, tells us that fire rests by changing. If you've ever tried to follow every movement of your own mind for a day or 15 minutes, this fire begins to sound a lot more like consciousness. A much younger writer, the one who will follow me on stage, also notes that fire often presents as a cleansing or purifying force, and that it has an interesting duality in mythology, both of destruction and preservation. And now we can look at the story on different terms. For example, the punishment for stealing consciousness, which we all do every day. The punishment is that we are conscious. We worry, we suspect, we catastrophize. We try to make sense of the world, maybe the worst one of all. We try to avoid suffering. Something is always picking at us, but we have to see ourselves from outside to realize that it's our own minds. Only by being conscious do we realize that we are chained to a world far greater than ourselves, and that we tend to repeat our mental sufferings daily, even when we observe them. The useful aspect of myth that I'm trying to evoke here is that it's like looking deeply at the mind, seeing its habits, like those we just discussed, and realizing that precisely in these fears, these avoidances, these misperceptions, we are bonded with everyone else. The strangeness of myth often serves to witness to us aspects of our experience that we do not commonly express to one another, precisely because they are all too common. This is an important reminder that even the deepest meditations, some like those you will hear from our honored guest, the creative works that bear for our daily lives the most overlooked dignity are drawn from the daily features of those very lives. Hearing mythic expressions can make us feel like the tourists here, picking up pieces of meaning we smuggled in from our Rosetta Stones, checking our maps, uncommonly alert. This is a great way to listen to much of poetry, as if you're traveling briefly through a strange world of priceless treasures, made by a soul for a soul. And could you believe, made out of things that look so much like our own world, but cast with a newness, an uncommon presence drawn from our own lives, as if met again. A warm and well-deserved congratulations to this young writer, and please welcome Vitatri Kita.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and I would also like to thank Elizabeth O'Rourke for inviting me here to speak to all of you, as well as all of my fellow student poets in the audience who will be bravely sharing their work today. So I would first like to begin with a quote from Audre Lorde, who, if you don't know, was a prominent African-American civil rights activist and poet. This quote is taken from her 1983 essay entitled "Poetry is Not a Luxury." Poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. It forms the quality of the light within which we predicate our hopes and dreams toward survival and change. First made into a language, then into idea, then into more tangible action. poetry is the way we help give name to the nameless so it can be thought, end quote. I begin with this quote because I would like to complicate the all too common perception of poetry as something that is frivolous, something that is not objectively useful or necessary in our day-to-day lives, something that can be seen as a luxury. As student poets in particular, it can oftentimes be difficult to separate this perception, this misconception from our work. When I first began writing poetry, I often wondered, is it wrong to find enjoyment in an art form that other kids don't often read outside of the classroom, that few people seem to take seriously? Is it even productive to spend my time writing poems? Which leads me to a confession. I didn't particularly like poetry at first, nor did I read much poetry outside of class. I considered myself a prose writer, and I didn't know that poetry could be taken seriously, at least in a contemporary context. As an elementary student, for example, I was only exposed to poetry in the form of short verses with rhyming schemes that sounded nice sometimes. In short, it seemed superficial. This changed during a poetry unit in my 6th grade English class, during which I read and wrote poetry regularly as a part of daily assignments. I found writing in free verse to be oddly liberating. It seemed to be a different and somewhat unconventional means of storytelling. But it wasn't really until high school that I began to really see value in my work. A Spanish class I took exposed me to the centrality of poetry and songwriting to various Latin American revolutions. Outside of class, I began to read poetry written by activists, and I started to see the tangible relevance and necessity of poetry in our daily lives. And I realized that even if a poem does not inspire a revolution, it is equally as relevant for the simple fact that sharing your story, your personal experiences, is a powerful tool for facilitating empathy. It's also interesting to think of poetry as an intersection between different art forms. Poetry is truly what you make of it, and it can be anything: a speech, song lyrics, visual art, a call to revolution, anything. It is therefore essentially the intersection of poetry and activism that grounds my belief in the necessity of poetry. It is what quells the fear that I'm indulging myself in something unproductive while writing a poem, and it is how I know that poetry is not a luxury. Being a National Student Poet this year has reaffirmed this belief. I've gotten the chance to travel across the country to meet other poets and share my work. This past fall, I had the chance to read my poetry at the White House for Dr. Jill Biden and the U.S. Poet Laureate Ada Limon. I even had the chance to talk about the political and cultural importance of poetry with presidential speechwriters, the Irish ambassador, and so many others. And the reason why I say all of this is to prove to you that, speaking from experience as a student poet myself, that your poetry matters, your voice matters, and it is powerful, it deserves to be heard, today and whenever else you choose to share your work. So now I'm going to share 3 of my own poems. The first poem that I will share with you is entitled Promises. Tomorrow, you will raise your fingers to your lips and taste iron. Blood will bloom from skin like a promise, shrieking gold with sand and clay mixed with water, with silt and soil and the bitterness of sonf watered down with starlight into anise. I will look up, chewing seeds, and I will drown you in snake-filled water. The poison will burn through the roots of the flowers, strangling your throat, simmering and suffocating to meet their quota. Tonight, you whisper, terrified in the dark, asking me why I would do such a thing. I laugh in the silence, placing hawthorn wreaths within the bracken curls of your hair. I say, don't worry, just make it through the dawn. You'll have a future someday. Someday, you'll learn to resent me more than yourself, and your flowers will never grow thorns to draw blood from the inside. I won't say I'm sorry for picking stems in a garden. The roses are so pretty, but they weren't meant for me. For you, I'll lift the burden for you. I'll swallow asphalt until I stiffen like stone and start siphoning water from tree roots. Please relieve yourself from the forgotten. Step toward the riverbed and pray and purify yourself. Hear the sacrifices of your ancestors. Watch their blood diffuse in the water. I will continue their legacy. I will keep your heart close and fold the fluttering tissue, letting it bloom when it must. Someday you will forgive me, I think, but by then it will have been too late. So that was my first poem. Thank you. So my second poem is entitled Generations. You take your hands and fold them together, tear them apart and feed them to the fire. I usher you out, tell you that your skin is not paper, that the flames do not care for pain. They won't liberate you, won't designate purity or godhood. You won't stop, won't listen. You say the writhing flame has long stolen your soul, enlivening the lost pulse to your vigor. Later, we sit there together, underneath the stars, grounded by mats and the earthen promise of our predecessors. Piles of sticks lie before us, burning into themselves. Your hands blacken as the night stirs in her anger, pouring shadows across our movements. The moon is lightless tonight. No sliver of truth is left to guide us. I am sorry for having to leave you here to become prey to snakes and parasites, but I have nothing else left. I can't continue living so close to the earth, can't fathom a life dependent on cycles of sun and rainwater. The monsoons no longer beckon my heart. The child within me has become a wanderer. She frequents the desert sands and lifeless valleys of her mind. Will you forgive her this once for dreaming the night sky, for wishing to emulate the warmth of stars, the depth of their innocence, their intangibility? I hate how I reach up and you don't even try to stop me from burning myself like you do. Thank you. And then this is my last poem, entitled Timeless. You see, time shifts like desert sands, broken and bloody to the touch. Dunes caving, the hum of echo before shimmering shatter, golden gravel thinning into glass. You know, I once stared into the slitted pupils within a gecko's eyes and have never since been the same. A flipped hourglass, expanding and contracting, darkness carved into amber. Someday you will forget yourself, I think. Maybe you already have. Maybe I can cry lapis lazuli, and one day someone will call my tears expensive. They will weave droplets into portraits of gods, placing each blue pebble carefully, like glass, like liquid indigo frozen into permafrost. Maybe they already have. Imagine those grand motifs crowned with forgotten stars, now hidden in the museums, fresh as the amber cradled in the flesh of your palms, old sacks of tree sap that encase forgiven life. Don't you think starlight is the oldest thing on earth? Isn't it funny how something ancient can erase fragments of the night's darkness? Thank you.
Thank you, Vidhatri, for sharing your poems with us and for being willing to address us today and tell us about your vision and what is meaningful to you. So I thank you. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing our MC. Jenny Thiel has been a teacher for 29 years. Her fourth degree is an MFA in poetry from Sarah Lawrence. She is a published poet, and she teaches poetry and writing at Mamaroneck Middle School. She also told me that she positively adores her teenage son, even though he's not into poetry. Marina, who knows Jenny very well since she was the English teacher for Marina's kids, she says of Jenny, and I quote, "She's been the greatest cheerleader for untethering the creative spirits of her students. By the sheer force of her conviction and enthusiasm, she creates a safe place for students to flourish and to dare to write." I couldn't agree more. And she is exuberant, positive, a joy to be with for any occasion. And now we have the pleasure of having her MC our celebration today. She will be calling each school up to the stage, and I know we will be in good hands with Jenny at the helm. So let's give her a warm welcome. Jenny Thiel.
Thank you all very, very much. So right now, it's now Marina's, Tom's, Jane's, Michael's, and Vidhatri's turn to relax. Yes, you guys get to kick it back. Now, the beauty of being up here right now and having done this for several years, it's a little bit old hat, but I completely understand that everybody in the audience has not experienced this before. So I will introduce each school, and the teachers will introduce their children. You could just come a little closer. Come a little closer. You don't have to be that far away. But basically, the students will stand in a line. The teachers will introduce their wonderful children. And of course, we will applaud wildly after each poet presents. I have some wonderful, cherished memories of Mary Louise Cox. She and I used to get together at the Largemont Diner down Boston Post Road. Have you guys ever been? Wonderful omelets. And we would be with a mutual friend of ours. Her name was Dorothy Saraceno. And unfortunately, we also lost Dorothy last year. They were about a year apart. And at Dorothy's house, I had suggested, why don't we have a Feed Your Soul party? So you'd bring food, but you would also bring a poem or a recipe or photography or something that you were interested in, and you'd share it. So Marina and I would just revel in that experience at Dorothy's house with Mary Louise Cox as well. My hope is that you all, as you exit, definitely get to check out the brand new garden. I strongly feel that both Dorothy and Mary Louise are here today, and they are going to, of course, wildly support you as well. For the first time, I have 2 students that will be reading 2 poems. Now, normally a teacher gets to pick 8, and this year I could not pick. So just like when shopping, if you find 2 sweaters, buy both. Just don't decide. So Sylvia and Shatara will be reading 2, and I'd love for you guys to think back, even if it's not poetry, but something in the arts, ceramics, music, drama on the stage, anything that moved you, that touched you. I want you to remember where you were or who inspired you. I know for me, my mother used to read to my little brother and I before we'd go to bed, or sometimes around nap time in the afternoon. She was the one who gets credit for introducing me to poetry. And in turn, when I chose to be a single mom, I would read stories and poetry to my son. And although at the ripe old age of 13, he is not into poetry whatsoever. He loved Shel Silverstein. And I will remember poems that I wrote myself or that I read that moved me. Oh, Vidhatri. You know, everyone in the audience is going to remember what you read. You know I'm going to use it as future lessons. We're going to talk. So on that note, what I'm going to do, if you give me a moment kindly, I am going to skedaddle a little bit ahead. All right. Are you ready? Relax. Yes. We're going to begin. Woo! Our first poet for the afternoon is Olivia Denson. Come on up.
Comfort in my hands. During the last week of summer, we went on vacation to Lane Guest Ranch in Colorado. We had a terrific time, catching fish, riding horses, dancing with Grandpa. One wrangler, with her shining smile, stood out from all the rest. In the pocket of her crimson plaid shirt, a face peeked out. It found the courage to squeak, "Hello." Have you ever seen a flying squirrel? When so small it would fit in your shirt pocket, it was as fuzzy as a cloud. Could take a nap in a peony flower. I have held one. I have pet one. I have laughed as it crawled through my hair. Now that Lane is shut down, I will never see either of them again. Never hold that astonishing acrobat. Never feed it the raspberries I picked myself.
Our next poet, Alexander, could not be here today, but Gabriella Cole could. Come on up.
Will you be my Valentine, the one to hold my hand, the one to whisper in my ear as we walk the streets so grand? Will you show up at my door with tender tulips so I know that you are mine? Will we go to the park and stroll around for a time? But there is one problem that always seems to slip my mind. It's that your decline is what would make me pine. That is why you can't be my Valentine.
Sylvia Russo will be next, and she'll be reading 2 poems.
Christmas night. There's a particular smell that comes with winter, soft and snug, comfortable and cozy, all alone, the snow flurrying, the cocoa steaming, the fire crackling. The fire spitting small tendrils of flame into the air, captivating my mind, my eyes, my senses, growing ever stronger, burning ever bright, popping and snapping. Does it bring you back? December 25th, 2015, the first Christmas in a new place. The smell of pine and peppermint, of love and of joy, of thanks and of giving. I come back to today, my mind now in the fluffy blanket, in the fire, the evergreen, and the hot, delicious melted chocolate. The velvety feeling, the velvety sound of the record softly playing in the background, the 1994 edition of the Merry Christmas album. A sound that associates with the good feelings in life. Excitement, calmness, contentedness, comfort. The night has now fallen. How fast that did come. The flurries outside cover everything in white, a blanket of sparkling crystals shining in the moonlight, and still more snow is falling. It was the smell of sugar cookies that made me suddenly remember. I rushed to the oven to pull the delicious cookies out. Finally rested, for everything is done, to relax on the couch with the blankets pulled tight. Laying there silently as everything calms down, the record ends. The snow falls in a silent, continuous pattern. Now, I think, I can fall into sleep, for the coming day will bring lots of warmth. And as my slumber deepens, the last thing I hear is the familiar jingle of sleigh bells near. The second poem I'll be reading is called Ashes. It all started as a mere whisper. Everything does. Nobody believed it. Why should they? It spread like wildfire within the streets. But how should that affect us? The children are all kept high in the house, off the ground, looking down. You can almost see the scent curling off the cobblestone streets, waiting for its next victim. He came home. The job wasn't safe. He found work as a physician. I've seen them walking around down there. They're horrible things, cloaked beings with glossy bird-like masks, an omen of death. Praying they pass your family's houses. The maid found a rat on the bottom floor. Immediately it was executed. Rats carried the deathly thing. She died in the 4 days following. Worry fills me. I constantly check on the children. A new morning. A child's scream. A vulgar, ear-splitting noise. I rushed in, dreading what I might find. Ringlets, blood red. It started at the bottom, working its ashy color through the body of the little girl. I called him. He came with a mask for the little boy and me. I would not wear that. If she saw that, she would know. The little girl cannot know. She cannot know her fate. We tried everything. 3 days later, the entire household is gone to decay with everyone else. Their memory is encased in a headstone. A neighborhood deserted. Ashes, ashes, they all fell down. This is the backstory. During the Black Death, physicians believed wearing bird-like masks could allow for airflow into their bodies to be purified by herbs, such as posies, which were believed to kill the plague. The plague killed between 75 and 200 million people in Europe and Asia in just 4 years. This was 30 to 50% of the entire population of Europe.
Our next presenter will be Shutaro Yasuda.
What we share. Walking in the darkness, I was terrified. It was a day the sky was all pure dark. After leaving after school care, I got lost while going home. As lost as any needle in the stack of hay. Everything seemed so scary. I felt like the night was going to jump me at any moment. Trying not to be swallowed by mood, I shook off my frightened mind. All I wanted was to see my family and feel the warmth of my house. But at that time, I was first grader. Being alone was just too much. I was about to bawl my eyes out. When I met my best friend, he looked lost too. We walked back home together. I knew him only as my neighbor, but I felt he was my life buddy. His existence made me feel better, as if I touched a light, and so was that for him. We both safely got home, but as the days went on, we got separated, living in different countries. Yet I will never forget him, because we share a part of the same sky. It's our connection. My second poem is Teachings. Maybe we were underestimating it. Somewhere in our hearts, we believed we were always safe, taking it as something distant as a horizon sails, knowing it's happening somewhere, knowing people are dying every day. We were still living our way of life. But the black clouds in the sky and the inferno on earth tells me the difference and the truth of war. I couldn't believe this was happening, but the pain and people's scream keeps me here. This was when I realized what war really is, how devastating and abhorrent it is. I was sinking into darkness. I prayed for forgiveness for everything. When I opened my eyes, I saw a different ceiling. I thrived. Still, I couldn't be happy about it. Thousands of people died, including my family. Though I also felt a destiny that was delivered to me from lost souls in Hiroshima with burned skin under a cloth. I taught people my realization to not let this happen again. In Hiroshima and Genbaku, about 66,000 people died. Overall, the total damage was 135,000 people. Some people still suffer from radioactive waves they got from this. And it's not like I've been there, but I've been inspired from some experienced elders who have been in it. And I felt like maybe as a Japanese, it might be more convincing and to tell people about this and let them know how war is bad. And yeah, thank you.
The last Rhinebeck Middle Schooler poet to present will be Emma Giroud.
Dorothy. It all started with a fungus in the cereal. Tituba was a black slave from Barbados. She had a daughter. Her name was Dorothy. She was like her little Pearl. The court questioned her and took her answers for granted. But she didn't know what she was saying. She was too young, shy, and innocent. They thought the devil possessed her mother. They thought that Tituba was using dark magic against them. They thought she would be a threat. But she was simply good as gold. 20 innocent souls died. Poor Dorothy had no mother after that. After a while, people lost interest and the court decided to stop, but it was too late. What was said was spoken, and what was thought was concluded, and what was done is dead and buried. Salem witch trials were a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts between February 1692 and May 1693. More than 200 people were indicted. 30 people were found guilty, 19 of whom were executed by hanging. Dorothy was also hanged at the age of 4 years old.
Okay, nice students, you may now exit and you may go to the second row. I guarantee today you will hear variety, wonderful variety. Whether it's a sad poem or a happy poem, one that's completely fiction about aliens landing versus the Salem witch trials or Hiroshima bombings and other intense historic moments. The next school who will be coming up will be Homix Middle School.
My colleague Karen Kane and I are pleased to welcome students from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Homix Middle School. So the first poet to read today will be Charlotte Romina.
So many questions. How big is the universe? Infinite, immeasurable, countless, cosmic, or confined, capped, bordered, and bound? So many possibilities, so many opportunities of what might lay beyond, or nothing. Deep, dark, black. Will we ever know? So many questions float through my head. Only theories and hypotheses to answer them, though. Only time will tell, I guess. But patience is not my forte. There must be something I can do, something I can say, to find the answers to so many questions.
The next poet is Ezra Ingalls.
Senses of war. The feeling of my feet pounding into the ground as I run. The smell of smoke and fire fills my head. The sound of gunshots, bang, 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 exploding in my ears. The taste of ashes, smoky and hot. The sight I cannot explain, watching war in France, 1938.
Just up and down for their height. That's what I would do.
Okay. The next poet you'll hear from is Ethan Ayafi.
Life in the Battleship by Ethan Ayafi. Here we are again. War, dispute, it is as if conflict is inevitable. Have we learned nothing from the past? Peace is temporary. War is like a storm that never passes, smoke that does not settle, fire that does not burn out. I sigh as I sit in the smallest ship, the weakest link. My ship shakes with fury, sleepless nights in the dark abyss of the sea. I hear the boom of hatred coming off every ship, growing by the moment. No more waiting. I scream in my head, not managing to make a sound. My anger expands from nothing to the size of the raging storm in which my ship is rocking. I forge forward, bringing the fight to them. Bam! Bam! My pride is swallowed by the dark sea. I am the weakest link. I am the weakest link. I am the weakest link. What am I fighting for? Game over.
Next, we'll hear from Dane Queen.
Toy Trucks by Dane Queen. Propellers spin, trucks beep, batteries die, kids weep. The trucks stay on the shelf, unable to tell the story of how many kids touched them. Voices talk, songs play, kids cheer up, kids stay. The trucks fly off the shelf, right to a new owner that loves them. Smooth sides, colors bright, small buttons, beautiful light. The trucks get put on the shelf, waiting to be touched, felt, and loved. Propellers spin, trucks beep, batteries die, kids weep. Voices talk, songs play, kids cheer up, kids stay. Smooth sides, colors bright, small buttons, beautiful light. So many trucks, so many options, and so little time.
Next, we'll hear from Paige Brown.
This is my dream. My dream is more of a hope. I hope that we can set an example for the next generation. I hope that we and the generation after us never have to live in fear. Martin Luther King had a dream. He hoped that black boys and black girls could go to school in harmony. Martin got his wish. Maybe, so can I.
Our next poet is Anya Perry.
I draw for me. I draw to create a glowing light inside of me, even when there's darkness all around. I draw to let my heart race in the fields of freedom, even when the world puts up walls. I draw to open the door to thoughts that are trying to escape, even when all doors may seem shut. I draw to let my mind explore a whole new universe and to discover new things I never knew existed. I draw to make friends I didn't know I had and to reach out across our differences. I draw to be honest to who I love and hold them in my heart forever. I draw to recall those I left behind and use their memory as my light. I draw to live my full life because the best is yet to come.
Next, we will hear from Jemima Durs.
Fall, trying to understand, red with anger, with this new thing, Wilson, 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 is what they called it. When my classmates knew about it, but I didn't, I got red again. It was hard to control the red boiling in me. Winter, but I tried. Then I realized there are good things about an IEP. I get extra time. I know more things like Latin bases and prefixes and suffixes. Still not too thankful for this class, which I should be thankful for, but I have to remember they're just trying to help me. Spring. I still find Wilson reading difficult, but now I have a better understanding. They are just trying to help me. It's best for me. Wilson is more helpful than I knew. Sometimes I think I do need my IEP. Summer. Wilson's gone, but it will come next fall. IEP, Individual Educational Plan. That is what I have now. I'm thankful as I should be, but red anger may come back sometime soon.
Our next poet is Maya Bialer.
A point shoes journey. Freshly sewn point shoes, shiny and flawless like a blank sheet of paper, ribbons yet to be snipped, elegant like a dainty flower. Still new to be worn, teacher throws them to the floor, no anger behind it, pulls on them, cracks them, and stomps on them. The dainty flower crushed, broken in. Slide my feet into them, rise to the top of the world, yet I'm only at the top of my toes. The dainty flower not all it seems, first used. Dance in them day after day. At first, they drag me down. As I échappé, pirouette, saute, the dainty flower softens, lifting me upward. They already are fraying, the dainty flower decaying. They are hidden in a special box, freshly sewn point shoes, no longer fresh.
Next, we will hear from Liam Orozco.
I don't know what to write. Should I be thinking about shrinking or finicking? Should I be writing about creation or destruction? Bananas or bread? Banana bread? I just can't. But in the word can't, there's also the word can. I can think of things, but not write them. But wouldn't it not be better to be able to write them and not think about them? Shouldn't the words fat and sugar be switched? I mean, come on, fat doesn't make you fat, sugar does. I sometimes believe that school is very useless, though it is quite not. Drumming, humming, and fiddling, sometimes that's all I can do till the bell. Tick-tock, tick-tock, my sister mocks me as I drop. Tick-tock, tick-tock, the weight of school more than Atlas's burden. Tick-tock, tick-tock, Monday marks the cycle's start. Tick-tock, tick. Summer, the break from where you break. School, a privilege for all, yet a torture for some, as a bear caught in a snare. Shelley sold seashells by the seashore. That's swell and all, but why can't Shelley sell more? Van, band, cousin, stand. Bippity, boppity, or tippity, toppity. What should I write about? A trout or a sprout? Banana or bread? Fruity or starchy? Which one? I am conflicted. I'll try to find this thing that inspires, but maybe I'll find it was there all along. Thank you and have a good day.
Our next poet is Ari K.
An Endless Game by Ari K. The sun and the moon are always playing tag. The moon is always stuck being it. The sun always sets before the moon is about to catch up. Around and around it never ends. The moon chasing the sun nearly getting tagged by the moon. They are bound to the game, never being able to stop playing. An endless game.
Next, we'll hear from August Jaden Vetterino.
This is Thoughts on the Road. On the highway, looking past big cars going nowhere fast, passing fields of tall green grass, seeing houses with the folks smoking anything that will burn as we think about life and what's there to learn. Life could be gold, diamond, and glorious days, acted out like fantastic plays, receding from every bad turn like in a difficult maze, graduating life with perfect A's. Life could be like broken glass, tumbled upside down like a car in a bad crash, a world full of harass, where people even have to be careful how they laugh, entrapped like a bone wrapped in a cast. However life has put at us, we have to think about the plus. But as we come to our destination, we clink our drinks to all of us.
Next, we will hear from Catherine Soto.
They told the white wall that its color was bland and meaningless, so I put up picture frames to take away from its emptiness. But they told the wall that the photos were ugly, dumb, and childish. So the wall took them down, giving in to their remarks, and painted over with a nice shade of yellow. No longer white, childish, and empty, the wall felt happy. But they told it that the color the wall chose was uncool, too expressive, and too much. Grudgingly, the wall put up a mirror, and it presented itself to them. They stopped before saying anything, giving the mirror that was once a wall a good long look. They told the mirror that it was unoriginal, back to bland. No longer white, dumb, unoriginal, and empty, the wall realized that it couldn't please them. It took down the unoriginal mirror and replaced it with a smaller one. It stripped the expressive yellow color on one side to show its bland white color, but kept it the same yellow. And it put back up childish pictures. The wall knew that they wouldn't be pleased with it, but it was happy being bland, unoriginal, and uncool.
Our last poet is Lynette Rodriguez.
This side of paradise. Paradise, paradise, paradise. Long way down to nowhere. For we wish paradise were true. We wish it would make somber nights bloom, not sink deep down, too far. Yet the deep sounds of whales' songs to one another says that we are almost there, to this side of paradise. For imaginary wishes are never to come true. So, this side of paradise is where a lion roars and the savannah stands still in fear. For it is our will to live in a sense of reality, to make the most out of tragedies, to make the taste of change and beauty our own.
Thank you, guys. Go ahead, follow your teacher. Wow. While that particular school is beginning to sit down, we will be calling up the next wonderful school of presenters, Fox Lane High School. Woohoo!
Good afternoon, everyone. I am not Diane Sarna. My name is Paul Culla. Diane is absolutely devastated that she can't be here today. This is the first ever Poetry Live event she's ever missed. However, I am thrilled because I get to present 4 amazing writers from Fox Lane High School. So our first writer today is Rachel Agnello.
Crop me out of the photo, you say. Behind your smile lines, the lens go all foggy and you disappear in it. I can't. You're a fragment of nature. The tree doesn't worry about how he's going to grow. He just grows. He just takes in all the light and water he can and lets himself sprout. And when his stem thickens into a trunk and stretches up to the sun, he knows we won't judge any of his curves or arches. His beauty is his singularity. He doesn't dwell on the shape of every leaf, every twist of each branch, every bend of each twig. They keep him strong. They keep him alive. The surrounding trees in the grove will just have to adjust to his bumps and thorns. And even though green is his favorite color, he still survives the autumn and winter months because he knows that spring will roll around again. You are the illumination of my dark skies. The moon knows that she's still beautiful through all her waxes and wanes. Even her deepest craters don't bother her because, however huge, we can hardly see them. Her radiance doesn't dull just because she's not as bright in photos. It is the camera that is imperfect. It just can't capture her grace. Does she know that she keeps our weather stable, or that she reigns over the tides? She has quakes too, yet never collapses from the sky. She knows she'll be all right. So no, I won't crop you out of the photo. I leave you in because even though the clouds are dark and glum, the rain gives us life. I leave you in because even storm clouds can appear more exciting than a peaceful azure sky. I won't crop you out because I love each and every thorn and cavity. I love you. You are beautifully human.
Next up is Sophie Liebeck.
Sharing is. People underestimate how hard it is to share. They teach it to you when you're 3, but it doesn't stick. Because when you're 3, the whole world belongs to you. But when you're 17, You become one of those little toy trains you used to play with, and everyone wants to turn on the tracks. When you're 17, the scope of sharing expands. Now it's more than just sharing your Cheerios with the girl who sits next to you. When you're 17, you have to share people. You have to share words. You have to share the spotlight. While once your name was in lights on the big screen, you're now just an extra on set. Now you're getting bad reviews. Not interesting enough, they say. You shared too much. Now you're not enough. Maybe when I'm 18, I won't have to share anymore.
Our next writer is Jordan Lubinsky.
Poetic license. I had until the morning to put my finishing touches to the stack of papers to receive what I had been working on for months. My poetic license. It wasn't something I needed to continue writing. It wasn't even something I necessarily wanted. I don't know why I had done all this work. Spent all this time isolating myself for a little slip of paper that affirmed my skills as a poet. Maybe I did need it and want it. The affirmation that my skills were worthy of note. Not enough note to be published or to receive an honor, but to receive a little slip of validation. It was idiotic, a dumb, non-consequential slip of paper. Were my poems even good? Were they even creative? Were they even a reflection of my truest and deepest thoughts? The song buried deep within my soul still feels like it is screaming to come out. My whole body has sort of succumbed to numbness, and I honestly don't remember the last time I ate or drank anything. I walk over to my kitchen, making my way through the piles of books and dishes, and I put the kettle to boil. I know this obsessing isn't healthy, but it feels like the only thing in my life that I can validate. Me, yes, I am a writer, a poet. I wrote all these poems to prove it. Are they good? I would say somewhat mediocre, but they're finished. And that is what matters. That is what is important. Because being finished gives me the validation I need to know that I can produce multiple poems of adequate quality and get a tiny slip of paper telling me that I did it and affirming my right as a poet. I guess I put every ounce of myself into this to be mediocre. Not extraordinary or life-changing. I am the equivalent of grilled chicken. I am fine and tolerated. But extraordinary? Far from it. But I continue. My fingers ache, my hands covered in ink, and I continue pushing. Maybe that is what counts. The drive, the effort, poetic license acquired, not affirming my right as a poet, but my need to write. Thank you.
And our final poet today is Jean Swanson.
Shall I dip my toe in the lake? My bare feet are hesitant, walking on the mossy shore. As I reach the edge, I lean into the unknown, the unpredictable. Shall I dip my toe in uncertainty in the lake? My toe hits the water, and rings and ripples of disturbance dance and dissolve. To my relief, the water is warm. It invites me, tempts me to venture further. As I float on my back in the lake, I'm doubtful of the pleasant reality of the unfamiliar water. But in time, my worries were lost, for the monster buried deep in the lake didn't swallow me whole, and I found peace with the unknown, unpredictable, and pleasant lake.
And our last writer, Ava Mack, is actually performing in the school musical today, so she is unable to attend. Thank you all.
Paul, thank you for stepping in for Diane. That was wonderful. Right, guys? Woo-hoo. Our next school is Mamaroneck High School. Come on up.
right, our first poet is Sarah Zabayos.
The Storyteller. Sitting on the wooden warmth of the four-legged chair, the storyteller smacked his dry lips and sighed, which sounded more like a heave. Wetting his eyes by blinking 3 or 4 times, he reached for my hand, so young in his fragile wrinkles. Okay, he said sweetly, looking at me. With colorless eyes, he began the story. Cuando era un niño en La Serena, I had a scaly crocodile, tan grande, tan feo, tan malo. One day I decided to test my luck, staring out into the pool where he rested. The yellow gates of his eyes gleamed. I couldn't help myself from grinning. I knew I could take him. I jumped straight into his mouth, allowing the beast to swallow me whole. But guess who came out alive? Blinking his eyes once again, he let a high-pitched wheeze escape his mouth, which sounded more like a whistle, scanning my face with a hopeful grin for my girl laugh. He stopped when he heard no such thing. His gray hair so soft as I kissed it, he extended his arms to touch my forehead, searching for whirlpools in my eyes for perhaps a reaction, maybe simply anything at all. Ah, he said, rubbing my thumb. Your hands are so cold. I know. I love you. I know. Above us, the light buzzed. It was all I could hear. Looking at the man in front of me, no longer close, he sniffled. I stared at him as he set his droopy eyelids to rest. Sitting on my knees, my head in his scratchy green sweater, his heartbeat faint and quiet, still played out the melody of life, wishing to be heard, like a worn-out tune, not yet ready to be forgotten. The storyteller went away forever, swallowed by the crocodile a few days later.
Next will be Cara Dillon.
Sorry. February. The blizzard began today, something called deep within the forest when I saw him. A young, handsome prince dragging the deer by its beam, bruised and bleeding, both he and the elk. The wind and snow burned our skin. We dragged the deer into the cave, carved our initials into its organs together, delivering the final blow, leaving our mark on its gut. Yet, when the seasons changed, the snow cleared, he traded his crown with the sharp antlers. A new crown, a new crown, a new crown without the sharp, sharp antlers and the roses I tied. When I met him, he was a tall prince, a tall, handsome prince, but the gold throne became brittle wood a decade later. And as the blood dried on my body, yanking the antlers I nailed to his scalp, I recall that February day we met, the day the blizzard began, bruised and bleeding, both me and the king. The January breeze slicing my skin, I dragged the fat king into the cave, finally together, the prince and I. I carved our initials into his organs, and delivering the final blow, I leave our mark on his gut.
Next will be Scotia Kurloff.
When I die of natural causes, nobody that I love now will be at my funeral. My brother will live hours away and just won't find the time. My parents will be far off, residing somewhere divine. My friends and enemies alike won't recall my name, a misty memory, or a cloudy hurricane. Nobody would remember Anastasia if she wasn't lost to time. Ophelia's life is forgotten as she lays in her water sublime. If all we know is memory, then what is really true? If I am three-dimensional, what dimension are you? My green and your green can't possibly be the same. If not pronounced correctly, is it even still my name? But ghosts aren't real, so I shouldn't be seeing you now. We ask the who, what, when, where, why, but always forget the how. If I die without tragedy, will I lose my name? No final bow to be had on a media spectacle stage. Ultimately, I'm nothing without the eyes of the bereaved. But if I entered life with my mother's scream, that is not how I'll leave.
Next up is Carl Albano.
How does one think of love? We sat down on the broken stone bench outside the pool entrance, the wind in our lungs serrated and smooth. We lingered like ghosts, and we talked, and each joke we told soothed the wound of the cold rod. We danced the night away at a middle school dance as the air reeked of photo booths, the 2010s and happiness. We had found a happy place, and we knew the light wouldn't last forever, but that wouldn't mean we'd let it pass us by. We all got lost, and as we did, we learned to love what life still was, and I don't know why, but it feels like I love you as well. How should I tell you how perfect you make life? I've studied the words, reading and writing, but they don't know how to phrase it right. I love you, homie, your epic darling. Words feel too heavy, words feel too light. Thoughts feel like a Cajun starling that knows it can't take flight. Or being, well, I think these pages are out of order. Well, actually, well, I brought my own copy. This should work. Okay. But do I really love you? When we're together, it feels like you understand. I can exist with you, and I don't need to worry, not about the world or myself or being perceived. When we're together, I don't exist, neither do you. All that remains is us. But is that love? Is love not reserved for the fairy tales, the faraway perfections that know no wrong? The unachievable, unavoidable continuum of the kisses and dances and I love yous, never reality. Is that destination true love? Can love be anything else? Could love lie in stupid jokes and late-night calls for talking about insignificant things, for sharing anything other than a fairy tale? Maybe love can be what we make of it, what grants us happiness and beauty in our lives and souls. This happiness, beauty, love, this love is daring me to ask, what is love? Husband, wife, binary, kiss, romantic, comedy, never tragedy, never tragic, never broken, never wrong, never complex, simple? Then why are we the exception? What draws me to you must be a different kind of love. Why does the world allow us to break their rules, to let ourselves grow imperfect and grow human and grow? So why does the world draw me to you? Others can hold so much hate for us, cruel and unforgiving truth for them alone, destructive criticism. They say things I don't think I could ever understand, foreign words in a language I don't want to learn. Why does love behave like this, mysterious and unfeeling? How does one solve this mystery, puzzle, problem, mess, beauty, perfect, wondrous love? What does it all mean? It's a mystery, but what is love without mystery? What is a love if love has meaning? A love defined is like a mockingbird silenced, devoid of its gift. A love defined is a heartbroken, broken heart, stagnant and lifeless. For what is the beauty of love if not the search, to find someone, to love them, and to give that love a meaning of your own, to name the love that dare not speak its name, to abandon past sorrow and shame, to find meaning in life, to see past your past strife, to write a poem of the love you create. And besides, who even are you? Actually, who are you? Who do I value so heavily? Who do I adore so deeply that I'd write this poem? You're no one. You're a flower bud the wind has blown to me. You're him and her and them, a symphony of all I've known, and you hold everyone I've been. And what of this love, this inexplicable, beautiful thing I find myself harboring in my heart, my mind, my being? This thing I find meaning in only now, what do I do with it? Do I spring it onto you like a bear trap, tearing your leg away, leaving you unsure and immobile and seeking freedom from this burden? Do I let it rest in myself, a faux flower in a plastic vase, beautiful but unchanging, unmoving, unfeeling? Or do I let the world take it, pour it into a poem that I read in the Emelin, read it with love, a love for them and for the world? Does it deserve the same love? Should I take this and instead love every grain of sand, every star in the sky, every human, and every divine brushstroke that paints the masterpiece of life? Answer is, I don't know. We're only teenagers. We probably don't know what love is. But as Herman Hesse put it, if I know what love is, it's because of you.
All right, next up is Isabella Osuni.
Bathing in sun. It was sweltering, a pool of sun. Hot. The roads were black, blurry with heat, stretching for miles from bridge to shore. Within seconds, the sky opened up and it began to rain. Droplets met hot pavement, and steam rose as if the rain could not contain itself. From the thrumming of the city of heartbeats of life. I felt small, existing only in the space between raindrops. Yet I was soaring, bursting from my body, electric like an approaching storm.
Our next poet is Jack Queen.
Track. Adrenaline sweat dripping down my back. Lap 4 of the 1600. My heart beating. People are cheering. Juliet says, "Push Jack." Face all purple, burning in my chest. confidence in myself. I take second place, breathing heavily, sitting down in the bleachers, sun radiating on my neck, while I text my dad and tell him how I did. Shoulders are relaxed, or wave of release. I have in my brain focus and discipline. I've been going through the tunnel. Now I have made it out.
Next up, we have Kira Butler.
Boreas. The pond froze over, forgetting me beneath the icy sheet, still laid down amongst the stones. My chest burns. God knows how many words gone unspoken, how much life and noise yearns to escape with the last of my breath. I dive deeper through the matted web of weeds, my hair becoming one with the feathered moss, until the stillness becomes all I know. I will dream of the spring's equinox as if it is to be the first day of my life, and in some ways it may be. For now I will rest amongst the muddied rocks, nothing but the silhouettes of footprints across the ice to keep me company. I will try not to envy their warmth. This will come to pass, no matter quite how long that may take. Though my hands grow wrinkled and cold, though I cannot tell you my own name, I will not forget the warmth of the light against my skin. The sun will rise and the sun will rise again, regardless of the eyes that watch, and I will wait. Perhaps as spring thaws the cold surrounding me, I will try once more. I will breathe in what air this earth has to offer, though my throat stings. I will lie and blame the pollen-laden air while I try to catch my breath after holding it far too long. Perhaps existing will feel warm once more. For now, I will wait, as I have every winter before, silent and frozen over and still, and my aching lungs will keep me warm. I will wait.
Our final poet is Autumn Carino.
This poem is called Leave It to Me. Can you hear who I am? Can you see who I am? Though you do not have the ability to be who I am while I preach who I am, can you reach who I am? Can you concrete an unbleached speech of who I am as I unleash who I am, who we are? I speak how you see, hear, preach, and reach us with the dare to be bold. Hearts exhaust manifold because we're exhausted from the smoke that comes from guns that are blue controlled. And when we take a closer look to the lives that were disposed, the process of justice and abolition is slowed, rain check postponed. With truth, we uphold the world when we choose to be people who tell from stories that go untold. We are people of skin, not just people of color, and we are people that bleed, but through the hands of others, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, made to stand on land, but some way somehow become black sand, ashes, wind, lost in history, leaving every reason for demise a mystery, leaving every strand of courage and pieces of morality, leaving every battle a mentality, and leaving the truth and potency to those who have the audacity. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last school to present for today is Westlake High School. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. Our first poet is Layla Ackerman.
What do you want to be when you're older? The question that has stumped me since I was little. It always stressed me out trying to determine my future career. When I was 5, I dreamt of being a famous pop star like Katy Perry. This did not work out because I did not have a good singing voice. When I was 7, I thought I could be a vet. College and medical school? No way. When I was 9, I thought I could be a professional basketball player. However, by 12, I had quit and lost my interest. Ever since, I have been scrambling for an answer. Once I hit 7th grade, teachers told us to research potential jobs. A real estate agent, a teacher, I had no idea. Until one day it all clicked, like the pieces of a puzzle finally connecting. One subject I have never lost my interest in is my love for movies and TV. I finally figured it out. I want to be a film major. One day, I hope to be a director or work on the set of a show. I finally have a good response to the question I've been trying to answer for years.
Our next poet is Giselle Medina.
Jobs. Always when we were younger, we were asked that same repetitive question. What do you want to be when you grow up? It was always the same answer. I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, work with kids and babies, especially more when my brother was born. I was praised for wanting to be that, but as I got older, I wanted to do more. I wanted to be a pediatric surgeon like Arizona Robbins, to be able to help kids but do more, to really fix their health problems, but I was told I couldn't, so I gave up on that dream. I wanted to be a baker, own my own bakery. I had it all planned out, going to Paris, enrolling in culinary school, but it seemed a bit too unrealistic, so I gave up on that dream. Now I want to be a preschool teacher, help kids learn, work with them, teach them things. I always loved kids, so I think I'm going to stick with it.
Our next poet is Danielle Mata.
There are two types of people, type A and type B. Those who believe in love and those who don't. Those who believe that they deserve love and those who don't. Those who desperately want to love but are scared and love anyway, and those who let the fear stop them. This is why, when type B falls, the fall devastates them. They never expect love back, but still suffer with the knowledge that they have to let their love die, as they do too.
Next, we have Alyssa Ochogrossi.
Flowers. I bought you flowers when I did you wrong. I bought you flowers when you were sick. I bought you flowers as an apology, as a gift, as a memento of life, as an I'm sorry. I always knew there would be a time when you would go, when I would be left alone, and even still I buy you flowers, but they are not enough to express the pain I feel without you here.
Our next poet is Anna Pagan.
Hiraeth, noun. A homesickness for a home to which you cannot return, a home which maybe never was. The nostalgia, the yearning, the grief for the lost places of your past. Where is your Hiraeth? Maybe it's your childhood home. Hear the tune of the ice cream truck down the street, skinned knees from falling on the concrete. Saturday morning cartoons and popping birthday party balloons. Oh, how you miss the bliss, the purity and happiness. What is your Hiraeth? Maybe it's your favorite book, whose pages you've read so many times you can almost recite them by heart. The rising action and climax, you adore every part. The imagery you can see so vividly. Oh, how you miss the distraction and your attraction to the action. Who is your Hiraeth? Maybe it's someone you lost. In life, you love them infinitely. In death, you love them still. They left behind a hole in your heart, which no one will ever fill. The touch of their hand, the look of their eye, you can't help but wonder if they're smiling at you from the sky. Oh, how you miss their smile, their voice, and their style. Hiraeth, noun. A homesickness for a home to which you can return. Close your eyes, see your memories roam, and open the door to your home.
Last but not least, we have Ava Shim.
Apple mine. I have an apple slice, a luscious snow body, pure and sharp-shaped, clean cut, blanketed in scarlet skin with a lick of green. I take a little bite, delicious, sweet, and sour. I take another bite, crisp, fresh, juicy, crunch, bitter. The offending taste stains my mouth like spilled ink. Sweetness turned gross, juice turned thick, disgusting. Tarnishing the fruit is a slip of core. Black, tear-shaped pearls glare back with spite. I bite only what remains of the core, chew to kill and swallow to save the goodness of the flesh and skin from its parasitic seeds.
Ladies and gentlemen, a wonderful round of applause for everyone, for all the schools, please. Yes! So, ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to do a wonderful, fun game with everyone in the audience. It is most certainly a tradition that Mary Louise Cox began. When you first entered in the lobby, there were two women with baskets filled with quotes. If you received a quote, could you kindly take it out now? Okay. I was offered one, and it turns out right on top of the pile was one of my most favorite poets, Emily Dickinson. I've been to her house twice. No, I could not get my son to go inside on the tour. Could not. He ran through the garden. I have it on video. However, what we're going to do with the game, and I'll kick it off, any volunteer who wishes to stand up and participate. We have runners in the audience. There's Jane. She's got a microphone. Yes, we have Liz, another microphone. So you don't have to like scratch up your voice or anything like that. Just kindly speak into the mic. And we're going to share incredible quotes. Once again, variety. Emily Dickinson once wrote, "If I feel physically as if the top of my head were taken off, I know that is poetry." I know, right? Delicious. So, who would like to be first? Anyone? Grandparent, parent, kid? And I'm just gonna like call out on you. Okay, wait a minute, let me block the light. Raise your hands again. We got one right there, second row from the back. All right, we're doing 6th row from the front. I guess the runners are more in charge.
Poetry is a deal of joy and pain and wonder with a dash of the dictionary.
Oh, very good. And then, Jane, do you mind going all the way to the back? Second from the end. Go on, raise your hand again, hun. Excellent. 5th seat in. And then who's going to be next? I'm gonna find you.
Poetry is the way we help give name to nameless so it can be thought.
Excellent. Wonderful. Who's up next? Anybody willing to participate? Excellent. Thank you, Liz. Grab her.
Poetry. Questing always on that shifting edge between beauty and terror. Finds the missing words that fill in the picture and make us a little more at home in the world. Russell Hoban.
Very true. Very true. And Liz has another one. Just come stand up.
You can not only write a poem about anything, you can also write it on almost anything. Poems also make nice gifts, and they never have to be walked or fed. By Carla Cuskin.
Well said. Well said. Go ahead.
The poet is the priest of the invisible.
Oh, intense. Wow. More volunteers, please? Yes.
It's a sense of looking at things longer than you should, down on all fours, looking at an anthill or something. My typical poem is like me looking out at a bird feeder, thinking about death. Billy Collins.
Oh, U.S. Poet Laureate twice of our country. Magnificent. Excellent, thank you.
By making us stop for a moment, poetry gives us an opportunity to think about ourselves as human beings on this planet and what we mean to each other. Rita Dove.
Oh, Rita. Woo-hoo.
Poems should send you away from themselves to do your own thinking, with your mind a little bit on fire. Lisa Oldstein.
Ooh, wow.
Fantastic.
Can we have one more?
Okay, down here.
Thank you.
No? Oh, okay.
No?
Oh.
Oh, way up on top? Excellent. Thank you. Liz is coming.
Okay, what poetry does is put more oxygen into the atmosphere. Poetry makes it easier to breathe.
Yes, it does. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation. We will now have Jane Dorian come on up for your closing remarks, or Marina? Marina will be coming up. Thank you.
Wow. What a way to spend a Sunday afternoon. Thank you all so much. And also for the voices that just read poetry right now. It was nice to hear from everybody, or those that spoke. Thanks a lot. So concludes Poetry Live 2023, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you. Couple more people to thank, or groups to thank. One is Arborn Printing, who did these beautiful anthologies that you're all going to get today. Also Arcadia Florist, who brought us, who donated to us the beautiful flowers that you see here, and we have some more as well. We have a raffle right now because we're going to be giving these flowers away, and we also have a gift certificate from a local bookstore.
Are everyone's name, everyone who participated, on a little piece of paper, and we're going to mix it up. And Marina, you're going to choose someone and call that person. That person stand. You have to be present. So that person will stand, and we'll read out the name.
Shataro.
What school? What school is that? That's
Rhineck.
Oh, Rhineck.
And
Okay.
Shataro read two poems.
We'll, at the end, when everything is done, so this is for the flowers. Is that okay with you to take home flowers? Okay, good, all right.
that
Okay,
okay?
another one for this flower basket.
Catherine Soto. Congratulations.
What school? Mamaroneck, is that Mamaroneck?
Mamaroneck.
Homix, yes.
Homix.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right.
So you'll be taking home the other arrangement.
And then we have a gift certificate to the Anderson Bookstore for someone else.
And the gift certificate goes to Anya Perry. Congratulations.
All right, great. And then for the teachers.
For the teachers at the end, if you'll all come up, not now, on your way out, we'll meet you down here, and we'll be giving you your bags, which have all of the anthologies in them, and also a little gift for all of you. Thank you so much again for participating and for guiding your kids through this. Where's Jenny? Jenny, we have a little something for you in appreciation. Thank you for emceeing our program this year. Delightful as always. Let's hear it for Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. And now we want to thank Vidhatri for making time to come, and thank you to her family. I know you're out there, and your brother, I think. Your words were beautiful. Thank you for sharing your poetry, and we look forward to hearing more about you in the future. And I know we will be. So congratulations. This is for you, Vidhatra. Okay, that's it. I think we're good. Thank you all so much.